mean, we get every day we're getting web forms, do you do health? Do you do Medicare? Do you do this? And so it's like a whole different stream coming in that we didn't have before.
Welcome, both of you. This is John Ness from Ness & Associates, and we have Kim from Ness & Associates as well. Again, thank you guys so much for coming and just joining me today on the Agent Spotlight podcast. Really appreciate having you guys. I mean, we've been working together for, it's honestly, I can't even remember how long it is at this point.
Around 12 years.
Yeah, which is nuts. I mean, I still remember the first time coming up to your guys' office and sitting in your office, talking with both of you, with my dad and Ruth, and seeing, what all we can do together at that point. And we were talking just before we even turned the mics on and everything about Medicare and how things kind of just can snowball at that point. And, same type of thing. We're 12 years in now at this point, and it's still going, and it still looks great. And, we're going to keep going further and further, as far as we can possibly take it at this point. So, first thing that I kind of want to ask really both of you guys is, and whoever wants to go first is totally up to you, but what got you into insurance in the first place?
Well, before insurance, I was a stockbroker, estate planner, and investment manager for a regional bank, and I did their estate plans. So I did their life insurance planning. That's how I got into the actual life insurance portion of it. And then eventually I was recruited by a captive company and became a captive agent for 12 years before I went independent.
Okay.
So then it kind of snowballed from there because we bought the one office, and now we have 6 offices in 22 states.
That's awesome. I mean, I don't even know at the time, whenever we first started working, I think, was it, you just had the one office?
We just had the one office 12 years ago.
Yeah. And now, like you said, I mean, licensed in 22 states, you have an actual office down in Florida too.
Right.
So, I mean, but the other ones are all kind of in this region.
Western Pennsylvania
point, right?
to central Pennsylvania.
Yeah. It's great. Love it. Kim, how about yourself?
I mean, I can point right here and say that's how I got in. I was in HR at a very large institution, and John recruited me to come over because my focus in HR was benefits. So I came over, and that's kind of when we started building the health insurance and Medicare market more.
We're going to delve into the Medicare aspect in particular for sure, but talk a little bit too about just what else you guys do within your business.
Well, primarily we're a property and casualty office, home, auto, business, life, commercial. We also do all the ancillary benefits, group plans, life insurance, disability, eye, dental. Yeah. You pretty much name it, we do it. We are registered. We do stocks, bonds, mutual funds, variable annuities, those kind of things as well.
That's awesome. Now, what would you say, I guess, how everything's kind of divvied up in terms of on the health side as well as then the property and casualty side? Are most of the agents going to still be on the property and casualty side overall, you think?
Most agents are on the property and casualty side. We break it down into personal lines as well as commercial lines. And then we have a select group that we just focus on either health insurance, Medicare, and there's a few of us that do the group health and benefits.
Yeah. Awesome. Kim, I know you're just on the health side pretty much then, or at least with us, obviously.
Still dabble in the property and casualty a little bit because I have those longtime clients that still kind of stay attached.
Yeah, they want to work with you.
For the most part, I stick with the health, the Medicare, the group. So building all of those books is my primary focus.
Isn't it cool whenever you think about the clients? Like one of the things you just mentioned is long-term clients, right? I mean, I feel like in this industry, again, whether it's the property and casualty side or just on the health insurance side, once you help someone with just anything, pretty much,
they're yours.
Right?
Exactly. And that's one of the coolest things is even people that I've had on the property casualty side that I might not have seen for a while, if they're aging into Medicare or if they lose their health insurance, like we're where they come. Yeah. So it's just nice to keep those connections that just keep everything rolling together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, because they all somewhat intertwine right? I mean, one is obviously health related whenever we're talking about Medicare or just the employer group benefits or individual ACA stuff, right? And then you have your property and casualty stuff for your home and auto and renters and things like that. But say home and auto, like they need to get something there. Medicare and health insurance, I mean, need to get something there. And they're both obviously insurance related at that point. So it fits naturally, besides the fact that they're, one's property and one's the health insurance portion. It's kind of a seamless fit.
Right. It's a natural flow. And I mean, for our commercial business, I mean, those smaller companies, as they're growing and they want to offer more benefits to their people, they might have started out small when they came to us initially. Yeah. And as they're growing, they want to offer more to their people. So they're like, what can we do? What can you help us offer them to make us more attractive? So then we can work together. So we go from the commercial side of things to working with them on all the benefits.
Yeah. And then, the amount of products that you guys start offering starts expanding as well, right? Because you have more people asking about one thing or another. We were talking about contracts before we even turned the mics on here as well. And it's the same type of thing. A new carrier comes in and you never know, like on our side, whether one agent will want to get that product or 10 agents or 20 or 30. It doesn't really matter, right? We still have to pick something up because someone's going to come to us and be like, hey, do you have X, Y, or Z carrier? So that way we can go and write it at that point. So question for you, John. How long did you have the business before you started working with us?
Well, it was almost immediate. I think we had it maybe 2 years before we started working with National Insurance Markets.
Okay. And then I'm pretty sure I'd be right here. Was it Ruth who ended up talking to you initially?
Yes, it was.
Kind of going back to the longevity aspect, right? Ruth's been here for 33 years, I think it is now. At this point, which is...
She's fantastic.
Shout out to you, Ruth. Right? Unfortunately, she's on vacation this week, so didn't get to potentially have her on in a little guest appearance or anything. She's always joked, like, whenever she started here, my mom was pregnant with me. The whole time kind of growing up, like, she's seen me literally grow up pretty much at this point. And I think going all the way back, she would tell my parents, she's like, one day I'm going to be working for him.
Or she's going to retire.
Yeah, right? Yeah, one of the two, essentially. And like, it's crazy because, she's still here. I'm 11 years in the business now. I started June of 2014. And, here we are.
But that's one of the things I love about you guys, and that is so similar to us, is, from an outsider kind of standpoint, seeing you grow into it with your dad and then watching John's two sons grow into it with him. It's that connection of how you see your business building and passing it along. And I like watching that from both standpoints.
Yeah. Because you can understand the family business aspect at that point. It definitely comes with its own challenges. My mom and my dad, who I work for and work with at this point, but obviously you're on the opposite side of it. You have the sons that are in the business.
Right.
So how's that been from your perspective?
Well, I talk to them more every day than their mother does. And so there's a little bit of jealousy on mom's part there, but we have a good working relationship. They just have a lot of new ideas because they are considerably younger. Mm-hmm. So they're looking at things a lot different than I have looked at in the past, which is okay.
Yeah.
And we do,
I love it.
do implement a few things here and there. And it's a little bit of an eye opener how they perceive things versus the way I perceive things.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure my dad would probably say the same thing because I come to him all the time and I'm like, hey, we should try this, or hey, we should do this, or you get it from two people, not just one.
Right. And I always go back to it's about the relationships with your customers, your clients, your carriers, National Insurance Markets. It's about the relationships that you have to build those relationships to get where we are today.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're learning that process and working with it and
Yeah.
those types of things.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about the relationships aspect, and again, the fact that we've been working together for 12 years now at this point, not probably without some ups and downs throughout. I would say mainly ups, though. Whenever you think about, say, like the health insurance side of it and talk about Medicare in particular, it wasn't the first thing that you guys were doing, right? You were primarily property and casualty at that point whenever you started, especially whenever you started working with us. If you can remember back whenever we first started, what were maybe some of the hurdles that you guys had to jump through, and, maybe some of the bumps that came along whenever you were first starting to offer Medicare?
I guess contracting was the biggest thing. And the different contracting requirements and those kind of things that we had to go through and figure out, which you guys were very good with, helping us through, because that was all new to me, because property and casualty and contracts pretty easy. It was a little rough and rocky the first go round.
Yeah.
In the Medicare and health insurance world, but we've got it pretty well streamlined for the most part now.
Yeah, and I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, there is some annual testing that comes up that you do have to do every year, and it is actually right around the corner from whenever we're recording this right now. I believe it's actually exactly 1 week from today, so it's kind of everybody's favorite time of year.
That's it. The first year you do it, you're like, oh, okay, I got to do this because I'm new to Medicare, this or that. But it's that second year when you're like, I got to do this all over again. And then it's that reality kicks in that this is an every year thing.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does get better, I think, every year as well, right? Because you learn more and you get more comfortable with everything too. And I think a big thing for any agent to really look at something like that is, just using it as the learning experience, and that it's going to be able to teach you more about, what you're actually doing. That's one thing that really actually helped me whenever I was first starting, because, I came into this, I barely even knew like what my parents did whenever I first started. They did a very good job, as growing up, as to not bring their work home, especially, with them working together. So, coming right into it and kind of figuring out, what I needed to do and what that process was. And, we're talking about the testing. So it's the AHIP test in particular. Whenever they ask the questions in there, if you look at it in a different light, besides the fact of like, oh crap, I got to do this again type of thing. Looking at it as like, okay, this person is doing X, Y, or Z within this question. And a lot of it is actually kind of real life examples that help you whenever you're actually dealing with it and dealing with a customer in real life.
Well, and it's nice because there are so many changes every year anymore. The laws are changing, the products are changing, the carriers are changing. So we have to be able to see what the new rules are as far as the government and those kind of things, as far as Medicare and the services.
Yeah. And, kind of building off the changes aspect, right? I think that's a huge part of why, people like you guys are so important to the industry as the agent for the clients, right? Because there are changes that come up every single year, whether that's just actual policy changes or whether it's plan benefits or different plans that become available. Medicare is a confusing beast sometimes, and there's a lot of chaos that comes out with it. And, the agent job and the agent role is just really, to me, just absolutely vital whenever it comes to that. I mean, thinking about myself, or just, thinking about you guys or your parents, right? And having them go through that entire process on their own. I mean, if you look at that, it's like, holy crap, how can somebody figure all of that out just on their own?
First thing everybody says when they come in, because most of our traffic is walk-in, face-to-face appointments, and they'll bring their mail. They'll literally bring bags of mail, and they're like, how am I supposed to know what to do with this? Yeah. So that's huge, and trying to help them figure out what they can get rid of, what we can show them, how we can sort through it.
Yeah.
So
they're looking for help. They're looking for help. They're looking for somebody to simplify that entire process, kind of simplify the chaos, and walk them through that whole thing. Whether that's starting from the very beginning, whenever they're retiring or turning 65 and, needing help signing up for Medicare Part A and Part B, or, maybe they've already got that part figured out, but they just can't figure out a plan. They come to someone like you guys and, you're there to actually walk them through that process.
We've really grown a lot in starting them at the very beginning of the process. Like you were saying, many of them don't even have A and B when they start. So we start with an initial meeting of when do you want to retire, figuring out the timeline, making sure that we're applying for their A and B. Do they even need that? Some of them are coming in because they're turning 65 and they really only need A because they want to stay on their group plan. So starting that initial determination of where they even want to go with aging in to Medicare. And then after we determine their A and B and help them apply for their A and B, then it's talking them through all the different plans and figuring out what their needs are, all the normal things, their medications, their doctors, their needs, all of those needs assessment tools that we go through to figure out what's going to work best for them.
Yeah. And so I think you've kind of touched on it somewhat, even in just like without saying it directly, is it's not just about writing a policy. It's not just about, okay, let's get them to sign here, right? We're actually taking them through and figuring out what their needs are and making sure, that what they're getting and what they're enrolling into is actually the right thing for what they need. It'd be the same thing on a property and casualty side too, right? You don't just throw someone into a policy just for the heck of it. You want to make sure that it's the thing that's actually going to fit their specific needs for their house or their car, or then on the health side. Very individualized, I would say, and, very personal.
It is. Everybody's so different that you might have 2 appointments for Medicare. You might have 3 appointments for Medicare. Some people are coming and they're saying, I don't want to retire until January of next year. Okay, well, this is when we need to see you again. Mm-hmm. Those types of things. And then we'll see you again before January. So you're out 2 and 3 appointments for people just for, signing up for Medicare.
Right. Because there are certain time frames when you can do it. Right. It's not all just, hey, come in, let's just get it done type of thing. There are certain time frames for when things do need to actually, get accomplished at that point. So, they come in and they may not be eligible quite yet, even though they're getting that stack of mail. Like you said, I've been in the houses. I see the stack that high. Right. They're
getting anxious because the mail's piling up and the phone calls are starting. So they want to talk to someone just to see, where am I at? What's going to happen next?
Exactly.
And where do I go? And am I ready for this?
Exactly. And then they come in, it's like 6, 7, 8 months before they maybe have to actually do something. You're like, no, you're ahead of the game. Like, you're good. Here, this is exactly what we're going to do. Here's the roadmap essentially. And I'm sure, you guys see it all the time and hear it as just the kind of relief in their voice, whenever they're like, okay.
Actually, we draw out the roadmap for them on a blank piece of paper. We write down exactly when they need to see us, what we're going to do.
Yeah.
They take home a copy.
Yeah.
We keep a copy. We know where they're at.
Yeah, that's perfect, right? Because then they can always refer back to that. I know for myself, I don't remember everything, at least. I do remember some things. I remembered to be here today.
There you go. Monday morning, bright and early.
Right. Even though I have the new little one who's probably trying to keep me back a little bit. But no, I did. Hey, I remember that. So,
but it's crazy, like all the different levels at which people come in. You have those people who come in the 4 to 6 months early.
Yeah.
And then you have the ones who come in who already have their A and B card. And it's like, oh, yay, they have a card already. So that you're starting halfway through the process.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Uh-huh.
But then you have those that come in on a Friday that need it on Monday. So that's a little bit more challenging. You see people coming in at all different phases of the process. So trying to be able to adjust to that and know where to pick up and help them get through it as quick and comfortable as possible.
For sure. No, absolutely. And, kind of going through talking about the process and all of that, how would you say that we've been able to help you guys through that? Whether that's whenever we were first starting, right? Or whether that was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, today, how have we been able to kind of help you guys in that aspect?
Being able to send everything to you guys when we used to, instead of having to deal directly with each individual carrier, knowing that once we got things done, we could send it to you guys and you finished it up for us, made sure it got to the right place. That was very helpful. And then, of course, over the years, we've developed new things. And then now, obviously, with Connecture and DRX and all that, being able to do it through there and you guys be a part of that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So those changes and just having you guys on the back end to make sure everything's getting where it needs to get is huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of, we can speak a little bit more on Connecture. So Connecture is the quoting and enrollment platform, right, that we offer for all of our agents. So it's free for all of our agents to use, which I think you guys had actually potentially even looked at it at one point to see, if it's something that you guys would want to make the investment into and everything. And it is, it's not cheap to say the least, I would say, but it is such a powerful tool overall. It really is. We've seen it just, with some of our agents, life-changing. I love it.
It is amazing.
I love it.
And I can figure it out. We're good. Walks me right through it. I am totally good with that.
I can kind of say the same thing. We've had it for a few years now, right? We had a previous platform that we used before that was okay. It was our first foray into, something like that, a digital quoting and enrollment platform that, could kind of house everything in one spot instead of having to go carrier A over here, carrier B over here, carrier C, D, E, whatever it is, having to go all over the place and actually bringing it all under kind of one umbrella. And, it was pretty good, but it wasn't the best, but it was, it was good for, what we needed at the time. Correct. It was a great start. And now, jumping into this, I've been pushing, I talk about my dad with that and being like, hey, just submit it on here. Just go on here. Like, trust me, you can do it. Like, it's easy. It's really simple.
You heard that before?
I get that a lot.
He's doing great.
Couple paper apps still, but most of it's online.
Back to you then. When you say life-changing,
go
a little bit more.
We had paper apps for every plan, every company. Just so much paper. It was awful. And trying to make sure you always pulled the right app for everything. And being able to go in there, let's start with SOAs. Just that alone, the retire flow portion of Connecture and that whole thing has really helped incredibly get through that entire process and bringing in more information ahead of time. So you can prepare better what you have coming in because of that whole process and being able to track everything that's come through. Just, I love it.
I think as a lot of people age into 65 right now, they don't use it as much when we send out the retire flow information. They're scared to put in their medications and those kind of things. But I think over time it'll get a lot easier for most agents because we won't have to be data entering them into the system at the actual appointment, which would be nice.
Yep. And just to kind of expand on that a little bit, so whenever we're talking about this, for anybody who doesn't really know, obviously, the process that we're talking about, we're trying to gather all their basic information, right? You're getting their address and stuff along those lines, but we want to get who they're seeing for their doctors on a regular basis, and really all of them, not just the PCP, the primary care physician, but we want to get what are their medications that they're taking as well? What is the dosage of that medication in particular? Because, there are nuances when it comes to that as well. And then also, what pharmacy are they using? You're coaching them along and they trust you guys in the first place, right? They trust you to give you that information, even though it's not necessarily like sensitive information as to what their doctors are and what their prescriptions are, but they know that you're there to actually help them. And I think maybe even going probably a step further, you guys have the other lines of business, whether it's the employer benefits or the individual health insurance and family health insurance, the eye, the dental, property and casualty side. How many of those clients do you think that you have for one thing already, whatever that line of business is, that you bring on the Medicare side as well when they're retiring or turning 65?
We've looked at our conversion rates a little bit on that. I mean, it's pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, once we have them with something else, again, it's building that trust. They trust us with the Medicare, which becomes one of the most important things that they're looking at. I mean, that's such a huge transition point in their life when they're going on to Social Security, Medicare, all of those things. I'd say if we already have them, we're probably over the 70 to 80% easily.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is we do the retirement planning as well.
Yeah.
So, we're projecting incomes. We're doing those kind of things,
Mm-hmm.
especially, if they're under 65, we're projecting their incomes for Penny and for the healthcare marketplace and those kind of things.
Yep.
So, we've kind of already established a relationship going into Medicare.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we see it all the time. We see it all the time for every one of our agents, pretty much, because they already built that trust and they already built that relationship. And then next thing you know, you have them for something else.
Yeah. I mean, we have a good marketing plan in place too that helps reach out to them and keep touch with them so that they don't forget that we do that too.
That I think that is huge. That is also huge. I've been talking to probably more agents about that in general. We offer a ton of different products and everything as well. Obviously, Medicare has kind of always been our bread and butter and our focus. And whenever we're talking to newer agents and everything, I'm always trying to tell them, hey, you have to continually let them know that you offer whatever the other product is. Hopefully, they'll bring it up to you. But if that's kind of like your marketing plan, it's not really a plan. Do you think that's something that you were proactive about at the beginning, or is that something that maybe grew with time?
I think that grew with time. There was not the sink or swim at the beginning. So it was just because we had a lot of people coming in and right away and, well, can you do this? Can you do this? And yes, we can do this. We can do this. So then, we built a marketing plan into place and those kind of things. We have a full-time marketing person on staff. And so it does make a difference.
And I think another part of it from the marketing, just to throw this out there, is just websites and things like that too. Like in the beginning, we didn't put a lot of focus into our websites and web forms and things like that. And now we're getting a lot of interest just right from our website, coming right into us, asking us questions through web forms and things like that, that we didn't have years ago. So, I mean, we get every day, we're getting web forms, do you do health? Do you do Medicare? Do you do this? And so it's like a whole different stream coming in that we didn't have before. So the website is a huge piece of that we've built.
I mean, and you think about it, I talk to people about this a lot as well. And you think about going to, say, like a restaurant, right? And somebody's recommending a restaurant or anything like that. I mean, like, what's the first thing that you're going to do? Like, you're not just going to go, right? You're going to look them up and you're going to see what their menu is, what they offer, maybe check out the Google reviews and all that. It's the same type of thing with this. If you're offering something like Medicare, but you're not promoting that in any sense, well, when somebody is looking for it, well, then they're not going to know. They're not going to know that you actually offer something like that. You need to get it out there, and whether that's on the social media or through the website, really, ideally, all of it, right? Not just one avenue. But if you're not actually putting it out there, then how are they going to know?
Well, and Medicare is a lot of referral business because if you helped out the neighbor down the street and they're talking, and then the next time they're coming in and then they refer somebody else. So it's a lot of networking referral business.
But that's a double-edged sword because, I mean, you get the referrals from that standpoint because they're talking about who helped them, but then they always start to compare their plans. And that's when they're like, well, Johnny next door has this. I don't understand why that doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the big obstacles that we find is trying to explain to them why this works for this person, but it doesn't work for them. Yeah. So, they want what someone else has, and trying to explain to them that that's not what might be best for them.
Correct.
Is always a big challenge.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. And, kind of goes back again. It's the personalized service. It's the personalized service that, you guys offer.
Yeah. We even see that just with husbands and wives, trying to tell them why. I mean, their whole life they've been on something together.
Yep.
So they look at everything as a together thing. So trying to explain to them, well, you can have this and you can have this, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a hard concept for people to understand.
We even see it, they I'm sure you guys do all the time, is they come in, they ask about their retirement, but the spouse is younger. She or he is only going to be 63. What do we do about that? What are we doing here, or how does this work? You guys are able to say, hey, we're actually still able to help her or him at age 63 too, and guide them through that process, and then help them with that same transition whenever Medicare comes along as well. So now you ended up picking up another piece of business on top of it. So kind of circling back a little bit as well. I mean, you guys have been with us here for a very long time. We have very little turnover in our office. From the outside perspective, what would you guys say maybe that's something that maybe stands out about, just how we operate here?
I mean, when I call in and I have a question, I'm always going to get an answer. If you don't know the answer, you're going to find out the answer and you're going to call me back. I don't have to go through 3 layers of people for somebody to try and call me back, which is important, because I don't have the time for that. It's nice to know that if I call and I say, hey, Matt, here's my question. And you say, you'll rattle off the answer and you'll say, let me go to the carrier and find out for you. You do set yourself apart, because if I call, hi, Mark, we're going to get bounced around 4 different departments, and you probably knew the answer, or you knew who to call and get the right answer.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's great to hear, because that's definitely something we've always put an emphasis on in particular. We want to be there for our agents. That's what we're here for.
Well, and the lack of turnover is really nice because, like you said, we've got to know you guys. You just have a very dedicated team that just is always there for us.
There's a genuine interest on both sides.
Which makes you want to see the success on both sides. We want to see you guys be successful. You want to see us be successful. So.
Correct. We're not successful without you guys as the agents, and, you guys lean on us.
As we're growing, we're bringing on new people. And instead of, not that I mind sitting with people and teaching them, but it's nice to be able to say, hey, NIM has this great training module.
Yeah.
You can go learn how to use Connecture. You can go learn the basics of ACA, Medicare. Those have been super helpful for our new people.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
I really like those a lot.
I love to hear that, because, everybody's at a different spot within this industry. Some people are right at the beginning and they're just getting started. Some people are more like yourselves, where, you're 12 years in, some are 20 years in. Everybody's at a different spot, but because things change and, we're always trying to get better and offer new things to our agents and, make your guys' lives easier. So we offer, the live demo, full demo of Connecture every single month. Anything that even gets new and updated on there, then we train on that. Anything maybe that's going on within the Medicare space, we talk about that. Whether they need to work through a specific, issue or problem or challenge that they're facing with a client.
I've hopped on before just because there's been a new scenario that will keep coming up. And I'm like, am I not doing this right? Is there something? So I'll hop on one of those and throw my question out there in the group when you're doing that, just so that I can relearn or make sure that we're going about it the right way. Just knowing that you're not the only one questioning something. I mean, last year when you spelled out the whole $2,000 max
for
thing,
the Inflation
and
Reduction
everybody's
Act.
like, how do you calculate this? And we were all in the same boat, just not understanding. And you went through and did a whole session on how to calculate it and how to do the MPP and all that stuff. So those types of things are super helpful. And
we love that. That's awesome. So if you can remember back to, where you guys started 12 years ago and we're introducing health insurance, we're introducing Medicare. Do you remember when there was maybe a time that it kind of really clicked for you with Medicare and you were like, you know what, this makes sense now. I know why, I'm kind of doing this. I see how this is really helping you, but also the agency and everything too.
Well, I mean, it's about income diversification for an agency office. So a lot of it is, property and casualty. It's very cyclical. It goes up and down every year. There's a lot of changes that go on in that industry as well. So this kind of helps even out the bumps, if you will, on those kind of things. So, as far as Medicare, I believe it was a good addition to the income streams for the offices. I think that was an important part of it.
Yeah, that's what we live for here. We're not building, for that first initial sale versus maybe something like the life insurance side, where you maybe get a little bit higher of a payout at the beginning, but then you got to keep grinding at that all the time. I mean, the Medicare portion, we're building for the future for that with every single policy that's written. Each one that you're writing adds up every single year, as long as that policy is still in the books. If that person lives to 75, 80, 85, obviously people are getting healthier now. I mean, there's a chance that person stays on the books for 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
And it's not out of the realm of possibility with that. Like, that's not blowing smoke or anything like that. I mean, we see it on our end. I know a ton of our agents see that on their end. A lot of the clients, they're sticking around for the long haul.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of loss on our book. I mean, we've been very fortunate that, if clients have questions, they'll call and we'll relook at things. But, a lot of people say that they see a big drop during AEP, and we don't.
We see, our retention is over 95% pretty much every single year. Sometimes it's up like 97, 98%. It's probably not a lot of businesses that, in industries that you can really say that, which, again, just keeps kind of coming back to that snowball effect. You're just building it up and building it up and building it up. So then that way, you're getting that residual income. It's not just, the going for one revenue stream. You talk about the diversification portion. I think that's huge at this point for any agent and any agency owner. And Medicare is just such a great way. It's such a great way to add to that.
But going back to your initial point, though, from the difference from 10 years ago to now, we would always gear up for AEP, and that was like the big time. But now it's always the big time. Like every week, we just have calendars full of Medicare appointments.
Yeah.
And that's just not something 10 years ago, I think that we thought we would see the way it is now, that just all week, every week, we have that opportunity to meet with people nonstop.
Yeah. we probably do 20 appointments a week.
Easily. Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Which, that's awesome, right? That's absolutely awesome. Who would have probably thought, whenever we were initially going through everything, that you would have built it up to that spot where you're having that many appointments every single week.
People that are calling in, I don't even know what month it is, June, saying, hey, can I go ahead and get my spot? Because I know you're going to be busy. That's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Right? It's a pretty good spot to be in. It makes you feel good too, in a sense, like, because, they want to continue working with you.
Right.
They want to continue working with your guys' agency as well. It's a testament to everything that you guys do for them, because one, they're thinking about it already as well. It's 4 months away, but they don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, it's nice. They can come in and they can actually sit down and talk to somebody. It's a lot different than an 800 number.
Correct. And I think it's similar to, what you said about us. They call in, they actually get to talk to somebody. Kind of going back and, we'll talk about, family life. We've been obviously family business. You're in family business. Do you have any plans for the sons to start selling Medicare at all as well?
Well, right now we're working on commercial insurance with them. My oldest is in our Florida branch. He's managing our Florida location right now, and we have some expansion coming there. So he's kind of busy. We have a dedicated health and Medicare person down there already, which is nice. And then my other son is also working commercial insurance right now.
We don't do any of that here, though. That is definitely not in our wheelhouse for sure. With somebody just getting started, whether that's, maybe speaking to your sons or speaking to any agent who's, just getting started within the Medicare business, would you have any particular advice or, words of wisdom, anything that you could maybe give to somebody who's just getting started?
If you're just getting started and you're not in an agency, maybe you're going to be an independent person just out there hitting the books, referrals. You got to get business cards. You got to start handing them out everywhere you go. Somebody knows somebody. Oh, this guy, he ate at the diner today and I was his waitress and my mom's turning 65.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. A lot of warm leads. You can get a lot of warm leads from carriers. We don't really need to do that at this point in our game.
This keeps us popping.
But referrals are the biggie. Getting your name out there, advertising. You're going to spend money on advertising. If you don't have the money to spend on advertising, make do somewhere.
Yeah.
Get your name on some placemats or do something, to get started.
Join some of the networking groups, Chamber of Commerce, or, whatever it ends up being. Go out to different referral sources that you can potentially get. So not necessarily maybe even the individuals, you can look at the business side. Right. You can go to, maybe other property and casualty agents that don't offer something like this and offer to be, their kind of like referral source back and forth. You can go to dental offices, you can go to doctor's offices or pharmacies or, elder law. It's obviously a different grind than just saying, hey, I'm going to put some money towards some ads.
Right.
But I think it's one of those things that you can do it. You just have to actually go out and do it type of thing. You don't have to have money to start in this business. I think really the only thing that you need to pay for is getting your license and doing the AHIP, which is $175. It's not going to necessarily break the bank at that point, especially for the potential that's out there with it. It's just, about actually going out and doing it.
Right. You have to be a self-starter to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And because I think also, especially if you don't have that current book of business and you're doing it fully on your own, I mean, you're becoming an entrepreneur. You're becoming your own boss at that point. So you have to be, kind of intrinsically motivated.
He's good at bringing the business in.
Yeah.
And then I make sure that we have all the details. So I'm more of a make sure you know your plans, make sure you know the options and all of those things, because he can bring them in.
We complement each other.
Yeah, we do. We're a good team. As we learn more, at least for myself, as I learn more, seeing a new person come in and learning and developing and growing, that's very exciting to see that and see their confidence build too.
I love seeing that on the agent side. In particular, I mean, we talk about, say, like the trainings and, you guys are bringing on new people and knowing that they can hop on, one, that they can just call us at any time and talk to us about whatever they need to. We take them from the crawling and the training wheels to the walking, to the running, to the sprinting. But
it's nice to know we always have that. We just forget something or something changes. We know that we can come back and bounce that off of you guys and you'll re-guide us. Thank you guys both for coming in and joining me and talking with me. I really, really appreciate it. I mean, it's been great working with you guys. Obviously, looking forward to continuing our working relationship and, seeing what we can do from here and, where we can take your guys' watching your family grow.
Yeah. Yep. And watching my family grow. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, thank you guys again. Really, really appreciate it.